When installing a dishwasher, it is recommended to hardwire the appliance directly to the electrical system. Although plugging a dishwasher into an under-sink receptacle is possible, it's not advisable due to potential safety hazards and the possibility of violating local electrical codes. Hardwiring provides a more permanent and reliable connection, reducing the risk of electrical issues. For waste disposals, also known as garbage disposals, hardwiring is required. Waste disposals do not come with a cord and plug for standard receptacle connection. They must be hardwired by a qualified electrician to ensure safe and compliant installation. Under-counter lights can indeed be fed from an under-counter receptacle. However, this receptacle must be installed correctly and meet all applicable electrical codes and safety standards. It is essential to follow the local electrical code and have all electrical work performed by a qualified electrician. This ensures both safety and compliance with regulations. Hardwiring appliances and lights generally provides a more permanent and reliable solution compared to using cords and plugs. Hardwiring eliminates potential tripping hazards and electrical hazards associated with cords and plugs, improving overall safety in the kitchen. Firstly, when considering a dishwasher installation, it is important to consult the manufacturer's instructions. Some manufacturers may specify hardwiring as the preferred method, while others might allow for cord and plug connection under certain conditions. Secondly, the electrical code often dictates specific requirements for appliance connections. These requirements can vary depending on the local jurisdiction, so it's crucial to check with the local authorities or a qualified electrician. Thirdly, hardwiring involves directly connecting the appliance to the electrical circuit using appropriate wiring methods and connectors. This typically requires running a dedicated circuit from the electrical panel to the appliance location. Fourthly, when hardwiring an appliance, it is essential to use the correct gauge of wire and the appropriate size of circuit breaker to protect the circuit from overloads. Fifthly, a qualified electrician will ensure that the wiring is properly grounded, reducing the risk of electrical shock. Sixthly, when using a cord and plug connection for a dishwasher, the receptacle must be readily accessible and located in a dry area. Seventhly, the cord and plug must be in good condition and properly sized for the appliance's electrical load. Eighthly, extension cord should never be used to connect a dishwasher or other major appliance. Ninthly, for waste disposals, hardwiring is the standard practice due to their high power consumption and the potential for water exposure. Tenthly, a dedicated circuit is usually required for a waste disposal, with a switch located above the sink for convenient operation. 11thly, the wiring for a waste disposal must be protected from physical damage and moisture. 12thly, regarding under-counter lights, using a receptacle to power them is a common and acceptable practice. 13thly, the receptacle must be GFCI protected if it is located within a certain distance of the sink to prevent electrical shock hazards. 14thly, the wiring for under-counter lights must be concealed and protected from damage. 15thly, LED under-counter lights are energy efficient and produce minimal heat, making them a safe option for kitchen lighting. 16thly, when installing any electrical wiring, it is crucial to turn off the power to the circuit at the electrical panel. 17thly, always use appropriate tools and safety equipment such as insulated gloves and safety glasses. 18thly, if you are not comfortable working with electricity, it is best to hire a qualified electrician to perform the work. 19thly, regular inspections of electrical wiring and appliances can help identify potential hazards and prevent electrical problems. 20thly, by following these guidelines and consulting with a qualified electrician, you can ensure the safe and reliable operation of your kitchen appliances and lighting. In summary, hardwiring is generally recommended for dishwashers and required for waste disposals, while under-counter lights can be powered from a receptacle as long as all electrical codes and safety standards are met. Prioritizing safety and compliance is crucial when dealing with electrical installations. Hardwiring an appliance involves a direct, permanent connection to the building's electrical system. This means running wires from the appliance to a junction box, which is then connected to a circuit breaker in the electrical panel. The benefits of hardwiring include a secure connection that is less likely to come loose or be accidentally disconnected, reduced risk of electrical shock due to damaged cords, and compliance with local electrical codes, which often require hard wiring for certain appliances like dishwashers and garbage disposals. When hard wiring, it's essential to use the correct gauge of wire. The wire gauge, typically measured in American wire gauge or AWG, indicates the wire's current carrying capacity. Using a wire that is too small can overheat and cause a fire. The appropriate wire gauge depends on the circuit's amperage. For example, a 20 amp circuit typically requires 12 gauge wire, while a 15 amp circuit can use 14 gauge wire. Always consult the electrical code or a qualified electrician to determine the correct wire gauge for your specific application. Proper grounding is also crucial for safety. Grounding provides a path for electricity to flow safely back to the electrical panel in the event of a fault, such as a short circuit. This helps to prevent electrical shock. The ground wire is typically a bare copper wire or a green insulated wire. It should be connected to the grounding terminal in the junction box and to the grounding bar in the electrical panel. When making electrical connections, use appropriate connectors such as wire nuts or terminal strips. These connectors ensure a secure and reliable connection between the wires. Wire nuts should be twisted tightly onto the wires and covered with electrical tape for added insulation. Terminal strips provide a convenient way to connect multiple wires together. Always follow the manufacturer's instructions when using these connectors. Before working on any electrical circuit, always turn off the power at the circuit breaker. This will prevent electrical shock. Use a voltage tester to verify that the power is off before touching any wires. If you are not comfortable working with electricity, it is best to hire a qualified electrician to perform the work. Electrical work can be dangerous, and it is important to take all necessary safety precautions. Under-counter lights can be a great addition to any kitchen. They provide task lighting for food preparation and can also enhance the overall ambience of the space. There are several types of under-counter lights available, including LED strip lights, puck lights, and linear lights. LED strip lights are a popular choice because they are energy efficient, easy to install, and provide a uniform light output. Puck lights are small, round lights that can be mounted individually under the cabinet. Linear lights are longer lights that can be used to illuminate a larger area. When choosing under-counter lights, consider the color temperature of the light. Color temperature is measured in Kelvin or K. Lower Kelvin values, such as 2700 K, produce a warm, yellowish light. Higher Kelvin values, such as 5000 K, produce a cool bluish light. Choose a color temperature that complements the existing lighting in your kitchen. Under-counter lights can be powered in several ways. They can be hardwired to a dedicated circuit plugged into a receptacle or are powered by batteries. Hardwired lights provide a clean, permanent installation. Plug-in lights are easy to install and can be moved if needed. Battery-powered lights are a good option for areas where there is no access to electrical outlets. When installing under-counter lights, be sure to follow the manufacturer's instructions. Pay attention to the spacing of the lights and the location of the power source. Use appropriate mounting hardware to secure the lights to the underside of the cabinets. The National Electrical Code or NEC provides guidelines for safe electrical installations. It's crucial to adhere to these standards to prevent hazards. Article 422 of the NEC covers appliances, addressing wiring methods, overcurrent protection, and grounding requirements. For dishwashers, the NEC typically requires a dedicated 20 amp circuit. Section 422.31 outlines the requirements for disconnecting means, stating that appliances must have a way to be disconnected from the power source for servicing. Article 430 addresses motors and motor circuits relevant to waste disposals. It covers conductor sizing, overload protection, and short circuit protection. Waste disposals usually require a dedicated 15 or 20 amp circuit. The NEC mandates that all electrical work be performed in a neat and workmanlike manner, ensuring a professional and safe installation. When using receptacles for under-counter lights, Article 406 provides requirements for receptacle installation, including grounding and GFCI protection. Receptacles in kitchen areas near sinks must be GFCI protected to prevent electrical shock. Always consult the latest edition of the NEC and local codes for specific requirements in your area. A qualified electrician can ensure that all electrical work complies with these codes. In summary, understanding the NEC and local codes is essential for safe and compliant electrical installations. Whether hardwiring appliances or using receptacles, following these guidelines will help prevent electrical hazards and ensure the reliable operation of your electrical system. For dishwashers, hardwiring generally involves connecting the appliance to a dedicated circuit via a junction box. The electrical cable from the dishwasher is routed through a strain relief connector into the junction box. Inside the junction box, the wires from the dishwasher are connected to the corresponding wires from the circuit using wire connectors. The ground wire is connected to the grounding terminal in the junction box. The junction box is then securely mounted to the wall or cabinet. Waste disposals are typically hardwired directly to a switch located above the sink. The electrical cable from the disposal is routed through a strain relief connector into the switch box. Inside the switch box, the wires from the disposal are connected to the switch and the circuit wires using wire connectors. The ground wire is connected to the grounding terminal in the switch box. The switch box is then securely mounted to the wall. Under-counter lights that are powered by a receptacle simply plug into the receptacle. The receptacle should be located in a convenient and accessible location under the cabinets. If the receptacle is not already present, it can be installed by a qualified electrician. The electrician will run a new circuit from the electrical panel to the location under the cabinets and install a GFCI protected receptacle. Proper voltage is critical for electrical safety and appliance performance. In North America, standard residential voltage is typically 120 volts for lighting and small appliances, and 240 volts for large appliances like electric ranges and dryers. Using the wrong voltage can damage appliances or create a fire hazard. Always verify the voltage requirements of the appliance before connecting it to the electrical system. If the voltage is not correct, a transformer may be needed to step up or step down the voltage. Overcurrent protection is essential to prevent damage from overloads and short circuits. Circuit breakers and fuses are overcurrent protection devices that are designed to trip or blow when the current exceeds a safe level. The size of the circuit breaker or fuse should be matched to the amperage rating of the circuit. Using an oversized circuit breaker or fuse can allow too much current to flow, which can damage wiring and cause a fire. The circuit breaker or fuse should be located in the electrical panel. The electrical panel should be labeled to indicate the circuits that are protected by each circuit breaker or fuse. Regular inspection of the electrical panel can help identify potential problems. Look for signs of overheating, such as discolored or melted wires. If you notice any problems, contact a qualified electrician immediately. Electrical safety is paramount. Always follow safe work practices when working with electricity. Turn off the power before working on any electrical circuit. Use insulated tools and wear safety glasses. Never work with electricity in wet or damp conditions. If you are not comfortable working with electricity, hire a qualified electrician to perform the work.